simultaneously pulled off the rear sight and the back plate. Now, unlike a normal X7, don't have to worry about any springs popping out the back. So let me remove the rest of these screws. We've got one more large screw. Now we can carefully separate the body halves. It's pretty clean, it's pretty straightforward, I gotta say. All the internals of the flex valve, and this is the patented technology that's new for the X7 Phenom. This is all contained in here. It's a real simple system, real easy to take apart, check out. You got your ball detent, you got, man, it's just all contained in here. It's a great job. It looks real similar to Automags first, me old school guys. I used to be a big mag guy, so I recognize a similar system. Now, as you can see, there's a good amount of grease covering this, and that is a very important thing. You do want to make sure that your paintball gun is lubricated fully. So here we've got the internals of this, and we're not really going to go inside this too much, simply because it doesn't matter for this review, but I do want to take this out and show you how small it is. Comes out pretty easy, it's pretty light. That thing is pretty tiny. Now, here's your Cyclone fitting on the back. You can see there's a little bit of a keyhole type thing, so you can slide that up. You want to make sure that's in there, locked in place. Take the front of the spring, lock it up in here, and this takes a little bit of work, but you can get that in. The hole on the back of this is going to fit over this fitting, the Cyclone Feed, and then you can get it locked back in place. We're going to do that, and we're going to put this back together. We're going to move on to the trigger frame. Now, as we look closer into the trigger frame, there's a couple things that I'd like to point out. On the top, we've got our trigger assembly. You can pull that out if you need to do anything. And then we've got our airline right here. Now, the top, as you can see, is capped, but it's actually a hollow tube. And there's two holes, one on either side, that are horizontal holes, and there's an O-ring on the top and bottom. As long as you keep this well lubricated, well, as you've seen me do, you can just slide that up into the gun, and you won't have to do any tightening of fittings or anything like that, and you'll have the airline properly attached. As I take off the battery compartment and get this 9-volt connector out of the way, I'm not sure if you can see down in there, but the airline actually comes through the ASA and is routed up along the side and pops up here. It's a real clean design and doesn't get in the way of the circuitry or the solenoid or any of the other goodies inside this clean little trigger frame. So they did a great job with that. Again, I'm really impressed. So with the trigger frame, if you want to disassemble it or at least get to the good parts, this is how you do it. It's real simple. Move the selector switch around all the way around, and then it pulls right out and dumps your trigger assembly right here. This allows you to fully put it apart. You can do any adjustments you need, clean it, whatever you need to do. Going back is just as easy. Just line up the holes. Seem to be a little challenging for me. And you're all set. Now, we've got our body halves back together. We've got the screws all tightened down. But before I put on the rear sight and the back plate, I want to show you something pretty cool. So we pulled this apart really just to show you what the internals look like. In reality, if you're going to be field stripping the gun yourself, this is the correct way to do it. So you want to make sure your trigger frame's pulled off. And you'll notice this pin right here. There's a little slot that becomes exposed when you pull off the trigger frame. You can either go at that with an Allen wrench, but I find it easier to use something flat. For instance, this key. Get under there, get a little leverage, and you can pull that out. Now, flip the gun over, and you'll see that the Cyclone fitting here has moved down in the keyhole. Pull that out, and your internals slide right out. To put them back in, follows the same process except reversed. Line up this hole with the keyhole, reinsert your Cyclone fitting. Now, while simultaneously pushing in on the back, right here, you want to reinsert this pin, and that will lock your internals back in place. It's super simple, really nice. Now, let's take it back out a little bit. I want to talk about the Cyclone Feed. Now, most of you are familiar with the Cyclone Feed system, but for those of you who are not, I want to tell you how it works. With every trigger pull, this will rotate and feed exactly one paintball in. It can't feed two at a time. It can't halfway feed one unless it's severely malfunctioning. And it's even got a rod here, so you can manually cycle. This is really helpful if you load it in. You just want to make sure your gun's loaded and there's one in the breech before you begin firing. So this is a great system. It's definitely going to keep up with however fast you can fire this gun. And in not too long, we're going to show you exactly how fast you can fire. So let's get the rest of this put together. Not yet. Put the rear side on. And very easily, this grip frame slides in. Before I do that, I want to show how closely out this is milled. So it makes sure that you put it on perfectly so that airline goes up into the gun. Real easy, 2 push pins, and you're all set. Except when they jump away from you like that. All right, well, we're gonna put this completely back together. And we're gonna take this outside and we're gonna shoot it. How's it going? So we're outside now. We've got our X7 Phenom aired up, painted up, but we don't have a battery inside. So we're gonna see if this thing shoots without a battery. Shoots just fine. Let me put the battery inside. Let's see how that goes. Well, that was a real smooth trigger pull. It's a lot lighter than I expected with no batteries, no electronics. Real impressive. We got the batteries in there now. We got it in a nice full auto mode. Let's see what this thing does. That's pretty fast. Why don't you come around, I can show you a side angle. Alright, I want to show you just how little recoil this has. So I'm going to hold it without any bracing. You can see it's just barely moving at all. This feels like a high-end electronic. Oh, that's fun. That is fast. Now, we got a special surprise for you right now. Alright, so we're going to wrap up with some accuracy tests. Just real quick, of course. Got a couple targets out there. Actually, we got a third target right here. So, why don't you head back there and we're going to have some fun with the Phenom. Once again, we've got this set to the full auto turbo mode. We're going to see just what this thing can do. Don't try this at home. Oh, that's too much fun. All right. That's a hand to Trevor for being a good sport. He's in a little pain, I think. My final thoughts on this. This thing is sick. It's a lot of fun. Very low recoil. Real fast. You can put a lot of paint out there. And for the price of the X7 electronic, it's just tough to beat. You know, you can use it with compressed air. You can use it with CO2. You can use it with a battery, without. It's real simple, easy to maintain. It's durable. It's backed by Tippmann Sports. I love it. It's fantastic. So that about wraps this up. If you think that there's anything that we haven't covered, or if you have any questions about it, or ideas for another review, just email us at videos@hustlepaintball.com. And remember, you can get this and all the other great stuff at hustlepaintball.com. Thanks again.